All right, everyone, welcome. Now I'm gonna open the Lacey Commission on Equity meeting on October 27, 5:30 p.m. Welcome. All right. So let's see, call to order. Shannon, who's on the meeting? We have a quorum, right?
We have a quorum. Commissioner Brown is excused and Commissioner Hegwood is excused.
Okay. Although he may join us once his power comes back on. Okay, well, let's move on then. Let's land acknowledgement. So our fresh blood.
Oh, good.
New blood. Michelle Ng, our youth commissioner, would you like to read the land acknowledgement for us, please?
Okay. We, the city of Lacey, are on the ancestral land of the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek, including the Nisqually Indian tribe and Squaxin Island tribe. We acknowledge and remember those tribal people not recognized today who are absorbed or relocated into other tribes for survival. We recognize the ancestors and their descendants who are still here. We recognize and respect the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek as the traditional stewards of this land since time immemorial, and their role today in taking care of these lands in perpetuity. We recognize and have the responsibility to call attention to the histories of dispossession, forced removal, and abridged treaty rights that allowed our nation, state, and city to develop as they have today. We recommend that community members read the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, approval of agenda. Looks like we have 4 items, 3 items. So I would like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda, our meeting agenda and previous meeting minutes of, maybe we do it all at the same time, okay? August 25th, meeting minutes, September 6th, retreat meeting, minutes, and September 22nd, meeting minutes. So, yeah, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve these agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda, previous meeting minutes and the consent items. Second.
Okay, so then we will move to approve. Someone seconded, great. It has been moved and second. We'll approve these items. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great. All opposed? Okay, items have been approved. Okay, great. Public comments. We have 0 person pre-registered to speak via Zoom. Public comments and nothing, no comments been approved. And I don't see anyone behind us, so. All right. Inspirational items.
Right.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes, okay, so my inspirational item is another reading. Kind of also a little bit of an activity too. It's only 2 pages. I printed it out twice. All right, so it is called The Thread That Binds Us. Each month, we gather not just to address equity, but to reflect on the spirit that guides our work. Today, I wanted to briefly speak on 2 words that we often use together, but rarely unpack. And those words would be unity and community. Unity is not about sameness, it's about togetherness. And community, it's not built by proximity, but by purpose. We don't need to think alike, look alike, or live alike to be deeply connected. What we need is shared intention and the courage to show up for one another. Let me invite you into a moment of reflection. Think back to a time when you felt truly connected to others, not because you agreed, but because you understood each other. Maybe it's a moment of collaboration, a hard conversation, or even a quiet gesture of support. Hold that memory for a moment. Now, imagine a group as a quilt. Each of us brings a thread, something unique that strengthens the whole. What thread do you bring? What value, story, or energy do you contribute to the fabric of our unity? Take a moment and write it down. It could be a word, it could be a symbol, it could be a short phrase. But if you would like to take a second, write it down. And then maybe we can go through, maybe at the end, and write down what we have, thought about as far as what do you, what thread do you bring to the fabric of our unity? And when I say our, I mean as a collective, not just as a group, but in the community here in the city of Lacey.
Okay, so that's an assignment we have.
Yeah.
Think about something,
Think
write
about
it
it.
down, and then we're gonna come back
Come
and,
back to it, we'll address it, yeah.
okay, so
And
what
of course, it
fabric?
could be a word, it could be a symbol, or it
Okay,
could be a short phrase. And we'll gather these threads and build a visual quilt together and remind us of our differences, that our differences don't divide us. They define us and they bind us. Because unity isn't the absence of tension, it's the presence of intention. And community isn't just who we are, it's who we choose to be. And if you're watching this, for those of you, later on in the replay, and you're not sure you agree with our purpose, I want to invite you into this moment as well. You don't have to share your views, you don't have to share our views to share in this reflection, but ask yourself, what kind of community do you want to be a part of? What thread would you bring into a space where people are trying to understand each other? And even across the differences that we have. This isn't about changing our minds, it's about opening our hearts. Because unity doesn't ask us to be the same, it asks us to stay in the room, even when it's hard. And maybe, just maybe, that's where real community begins. What I wanted to do was I wanted to either bring something that, would stop and have us stop and think about, what about this random item do you identify with? We're not all the same, but we do have to have empathy for one another and consider the community that's going to bring us together. I think we lost a lot of that, and we don't have to accept rudeness or some of the other things that other people may bring that may not
fit our understanding.
exactly, that may not fit our understanding, but we are who we have to remember that we are our fellow citizen and we have to be there for one another. Gives you something to think about.
Okay, well, you got your assignment. Think about that, but we'll have to have the meeting going. No, don't think about it too much.
I think that was a great exercise, Commissioner Hart, and maybe if it pleases the group, if you all want to think about it and send me your responses, we can have
Okay.
our team put together a mosaic of the responses, and then we can pick this up at the December meeting. Because it sounds like we'll have some key absences in the November meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Is that
Okay.
good with the group?
Well, that sounds great.
Okay.
Well, this is really inspirational.
Yeah.
I'd like you to share that note with me.
Sure, of course. Actually, I thought of something happy.
Oh, okay, great. That's great. Thank you. Okay, so you know the assignment. Okay, let's go on business item. I'd like to welcome Michelle Ewing, our Lacey Youth Council representative. I know this is your second meeting, but we didn't get to really hear and learn about you. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit about you, and what do you think about our committee, the commission, how we can support you? Yeah, feel free to just share.
I'm Michelle, I'm a junior at North Thurston High School. I enjoy drawing and reading and learning. I've been enjoying all my classes this year, so I'm really lucky with that. And I joined the Commission on Equity because it's the one I knew the least about, and I'm hoping I learn more as I stay here.
Are you new to this town or you've been?
No, I've been here my entire life.
Oh, great,
Wow.
okay.
Good.
Yeah, fantastic.
Welcome.
All right, anybody have any questions to Michelle? We put you in a hot seat or?
Just encourage you to
Yeah.
speak up and let us know, what you're thinking and add to it. It's, you're a really important voice for us.
Chair, perhaps a introduction to the rest of you. Michelle.
That better be appropriate. Should I go from here or there?
I can go first. So I'm Raul. What was I was in a temporary position. Shannon, am I now? I know you sent me an email. I don't know. But anyways, I've been with the Commission on Equity for a year. I joined it as part of an assignment because I came here to view it as part of an assignment, and then I joined shortly thereafter because I'm a graduate level student at Evergreen State College, working on my master's degree in public administration. And equity has kind of been the core theme of my curriculum and what I'm focusing on professionally and stuff. So it just kind of made common sense. And I live in the Lacey Olympia area, weird map cutout, but I do all my existing in Lacey essentially. So and I bought a house there, and my kid's growing up in the neighborhood, so figured positive impact, right? So that's what led me to the Commission on Equity, and it takes some getting used to. I'm still learning, and there's a lot going on, and quorum and stuff, some weird words, but still learning.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
I'm Veronica Han, and welcome. I'm the Equity and Inclusion Program Manager for the City of Lacey, and I've been in this position for a little over a year, and this is the first, it's a brand new position.
I'm Thelma Jackson, and this is my 4th year on the commission. I'm one of the originals. I've lived here in the Lacey area for 54 years. Been around a while, seen a lot of change, and this commission has been a significant part of my community activity over the last 4 years. So welcome. We're pleased to have you join us.
I'm Annie Clay. I have lived in Lacey for 25 years now. And it was my community really. I lived out rurally. Yeah, so just important for me and the commission to stand up and do what my heart was telling me to do.
Hi, Makita Hart, and I've been here 24 years in the community. I'm one of the OGs as well. This is my 4th year on this board. And I am a military spouse, veteran military spouse that have children with special needs, biracial family. There's a lot of demographic within just my family, and I wanted to make sure that I did my part in being involved in the community and what it means to have equity and education and all that stuff. So not only is it inspiring me to want to do more and advocate, but I just kind of want to educate myself as well as others. So that's why I'm on the board.
So yeah, I've been in Lacey for 33 years, I believe. So I've been here for a while, and I'm originally from Korea, so I'm an immigrant. So I believe in showing up and raising voice. If you want to make any changes, you need to be that change that you want to be. So yeah, every opportunity I have, I'll be out there trying to make I guess suggestions. So yeah, so that's me.
Michelle, I know we've met a couple of times, but I'm Shannon Kelly Pong. I'm the Assistant City Manager here at the City of Lacey. And it looks like our other commissioner has joined us as well online.
Oh, great.
So Commissioner Hegwood, if you can hear us, we are doing introductions to our new Lacey Youth Council member.
Hi there. Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. 1 second here. Hi, my name's John. John Hagwood. I've been on the commission since its inception. Nice to meet you. I use he, him pronouns. I have an 18-year-old son. My husband and I lived in the area for 14, 15 years now. Veteran, military spouse, grew up a military brat. I've been in the equity space and advocacy space, I guess formally, 14-ish years since my first undergrad. We do a lot of great work here. I'm excited to have you be a part of our team. Looking forward to working with you.
Great. Thank you.
So Chair, if I could just add a couple of things really quickly. So our Lacey Youth Council this year, I think we had almost 30 applicants for 15 positions. So I just want to highlight how competitive the process was to get onto the Lacey Youth Council. You had to fill out an application and then you had to be a part of an interview or got the opportunity based on your application to have a interview with the mayor and myself, as well as another city staff person. And so Michelle participated in all of that and was selected for the Lacey Youth Council. And I've had a few conversations with Michelle, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle. Michelle has expressed interest in access to STEM resources. And so just understanding the equity issues inherent in access to science and technology.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic. Congratulations. All right, great. Regional Advisory Board meeting discussions.
Yeah, well, good evening, Chair and Commissioners. I'm here tonight to talk about the recap for the Regional Advisory Board meeting. I know you are all here, but I do want to just provide an update for anybody who may be watching and also just to refresh everybody's memory. So we'll do a quick PowerPoint on the regional meeting. Give me just a second. Getting situated. So as you all recall, last month on September 22nd, we met at the Thurston County Fairgrounds and we had invited representation from our various jurisdictions. So here at the City of Lacey, we had you all, the Commission on Equity. We were also joined by our Human Services Commission. We were joined by a representative from the City of Olympia, who's the staff person to their Social Justice Commission. We were also joined by a few members of Thurston County's Racial Equity Commission. And then finally, we had some staff members joining us from the city of Tumwater to talk about kind of, who we are, what we're doing, and how might we be able to work together in the future on equity issues here in Thurston County. One thing I do want to highlight before I get into the details of this meeting is Tumwater, as you may recall, was talking about how they were in the process of coming before their council with an equity commission. They have since passed that ordinance to create an equity commission. And so they are going to be working on advertising, I'm sure shortly, for membership to that. So please feel free to pass that information on to anybody you may know who lives in Tumwater or the urban growth area of Tumwater to be part of that new board. But it's pretty exciting. When you look at the materials, you can see it was strongly influenced by some of the things that we have going on here. So just recognizing that you're having a profound impact on the community, whether it's Lacey or even beyond. So to kind of set the stage for the regional meeting, this was one of the outcomes of the 2025 Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Summits. So we held this last spring, and there was a really good panel held by our Commissioner Brown on what the jurisdictions were doing and what could be some next steps. And one of the things that was discussed was, is there a way that we can get our advisory boards together to kind of learn a little bit more about each other and learn about what we're doing? And so this group hosted the first ever meeting. We had 20 participants. And like I mentioned, all of those entities were involved. We also had a few community members who joined and participated as well. We provided a general update on all of the equity activities across our jurisdictions, as well as some upcoming events. And then the bulk of the time after that was really focused on small group discussions. We also had planned for a Alice report to be provided by Chris Wells, and we're working on rescheduling that so that we can hopefully get Chris at the next regional meeting. We are hoping to have another one, but we'll wait to see kind of how this conversation and discussion goes today. But again, to kind of set the stage of where we're at as Thurston County from a data-driven approach. So with the small group, we focused on questions, really talking about vision alignment. What common goals or challenges do we share across our advisory boards? What are the opportunities? Where do we see that there's opportunities for collaboration on projects, programs, and initiatives? How can we better share knowledge, information, insights, or lesson learns? And then next steps, what are some practical small steps that we could see in the next 6 months to a year? And so in your packet, you'll see a staff report that recaps the meeting itself. And in addition to that recap, it provides a general overview of maybe 3 of the main themes that we heard. That doesn't mean that they're inclusive of all the themes. That's one of the things we want to make sure that we're talking about today. And then as an attachment to that, it's also got all of the meeting notes from each of the tables. So the small group discussions, so you can kind of see, what was going on across the different groups. So when we summarize this, and this is from the staff perspective, we came up with 3 kind of broad categories. And the first one was collaboration and share best practices, which was part of the questions. And one of the things that came up was holding joint meetings quarterly or twice a year, with the hosting duties being shared across the jurisdiction. So it wasn't just on one jurisdiction to host it. And then to have a focus on those meetings on a specific topic with, a specific action item associated with it. Also, another idea that came up was to hold regular advisory board chair meetings. So this could be quarterly or twice a year. To continue to plan the annual Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Summit, and also to continue to share best practices. The second kind of category that we distilled was direction. And that was kind of helping define and educate the community on the work that we're doing, but also just what diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is. And I think that fits really well with Commissioner Hart's exercise of taking a look at, how if those concepts can be explained, not only in this group, but across the broader community. Working jointly on projects when possible. So if there are things that we can collectively work together on, one of the things that came up was our equity map as an example of like, how can we get that expanded beyond just the city of Lacey and the urban growth area. And then a big discussion when I looked through the information was, just also recognizing the environment that we're in with equity efforts facing increasing challenges, pushbacks, and then also just recognizing the significant cut in federal funding that's going to impact a lot of things moving forward. We're already starting to feel some of those impacts, but I think there's a lot more in the next couple of years that we're certainly going to feel as of right now. The third kind of broad category was engagement. And what we heard was hold joint outreach activities, recognizing that if you hold a event, say at the Lacey Night Market, that's going to attract people not just from Lacey, but you're going to get folks from Olympia, from Tumwater, from unincorporated Thurston County. So having representation from all of those jurisdictions in one place to hear what is being discussed. Some other ideas came with the night market, colleges, South Sound BIPOC, creating an informational newsletter to highlight the work that's being done, holding more regional events, helping support and involving the youth, expanding mentorship for community members who want to do equity work, whether that's serving on a board or a commission or just showing up at different activities. And finally, really focusing on that, how do you engage trusted messengers to help government entities get information that is, maybe information they wouldn't get if they didn't have those voices to reach out to community members. So with that, what I'd like to do is just hear if there are other key elements that we missed as part of kind of our summary. And again, all of the notes are provided, things that we want to highlight. And then I just want some feedback maybe from this board of, thinking about actionable items in the short term. And this is certainly something we're going to focus on in our next activity in much more detail, is what is the priority of the group. What does that look like? And so with that, let's just start with, are there things missing from the broad categorization that you all heard at your tables that you'd like to have included?
No, I can't think of anything. I think you captured pretty good.
I just had a quick question. How would the informational newsletter be received by the community?
Yeah, I don't think I know exactly how that would look like. That would be something we'd have to look into, Commissioner, but I can tell you from experience how we do some of our newsletters here at the city. We have both typically digital and print. However, I think just recognizing that printing and getting that out to the community becomes very difficult because you have the cost of printing and mailing. So we have very limited kind of direct mailers. But we do have a digital footprint right now where you can sign up for various newsletters on our city website. So if you wanted to hop into what our latest one is called Lacey Weekly, and if you haven't signed up, I highly recommend you do. It is a newsletter that comes out every Thursday to the best of our ability, that highlights all of the things that are going on in the city in the upcoming week or happened that week. So there's typically a message from the city manager. He talks about an event or something special that's happening. And then there's more just kind of informational news. So you can opt into that. So that's something that's similar. Something like that could be designed. What we'd certainly have to think about is how do we get all of the information together, and that creates some resources.
And how we get it out as well, I think would be an issue for just getting the engagement, whether it's social media, but then you get people that don't want to do social media or don't have access to the internet at all. So what are some other ways that we can get that information out there to a broad scan of people?
And the other jurisdictions probably have some sort of newsletter or, some mechanism too that we can all use.
Wonder if we have money, maybe we can do a paper bag print at a grocery. Cause everybody have to go to a grocery of some kind.
It's an interesting concept.
Is there a link to sign up to the Lacey Weekly?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me actually take this moment to show you all where you can get that signed up, and I'll send it out in an email as well. But I think there probably is community members who are looking for it. So give me 1 second and I'll run through what that looks like.
I wasn't aware of that.
This is something that started within the last year, but definitely where we're trying to put more information to get it out. So let me share my screen here. So if you go to the city's webpage, which is cityoflacey.org, it'll take you to this landing page right here. And then you can see down here, we've got a couple of kind of what we'd like to say are the most clicked links. So you can see our utility billing, tell us. So if you have a question, comment, or concern, we actually have a digital system where you can send in your question or comment directly to us. And then we have our subscribe. And subscribe is where you would access that particular newsletter. And so it takes you here where it says email notifications, and you can say general topics. We have public work projects. So maybe you're interested in a very specific project, community economic development, and then parks, culture, and recreation museum. If you select general city topics, it'll take you to a kind of broad list. You would put in your email address, and then you would sign up for all of the email lists you'd be interested in. So we've got the Lacey Human Services Grant Funding, the Lacey Life, and then here is the Lacey Weekly Newsletter. News and press releases, public notices, and then any solicitations that we may have, and then volunteer opportunities. So all you would need to do is put in your email address, and then you would select Lacey Weekly Newsletter. And just as an example, we're gonna sign the clerk up behind me here for the Lacey Weekly. So we've got a Lacey Weekly Newsletter, and you hit sign up, and you would go through this process, and you would get an email confirming that, and then you could expect the next one to come out on Thursday.
Thank you.
So the RFP, do you not use Public Works or MRSC? So you do your own procurement there?
So we do use those resources, but we have our own listing for RFPs and RFQs out here as well that individual vendors can sign up for. So And we will have Public Works come and provide a little bit more update on that, but if we go back to subscribe and you go to Public Works and Projects, the great thing about this is it gives you specific projects. So maybe the College Street extension is something that's really important to you. You could sign up only for that email list. But you could also sign up for sidewalk repair. And then on this one, it doesn't have the RFP, RFQs. That's a good one to add though. So I'll keep that in mind, mental note. But yes, you could sign up for solicitations through this.
And then the chat with us or contact us, is that during just normal business hour? Tell us.
Yeah, so this is like I like to think of it as like a work order, right? So if you go to Tell Us, you can access the app that we have built. So you can do a request for service. You can also get information on like how you would contact us during business hours or how you would request a public records request. But if you wanted a service, you would click this. And we can just do something really quickly. We'll take our map and let's say we had a service issue at City Hall. We could put our person, you can put in the address, but you can also drop down this person and say, this is where our issue is. And then we'd hit next. We would say what kind of issue we're having. And let's say we're having an issue with, I'm gonna use one that I know is gonna go to some of my staff, so we can just make sure that it's noted. So we have an issue with the TV station. It's out, it's not working right. So you can add a comment here saying, I'm gonna do test. Oh, that's the wrong keyboard.
The most problem that I see is that those water sprinkler going all wrong directions. And of course, that's not during normal business hours. Sometimes as I walk, I want to call in and I want to do something to stop that waste of, so that's why. I was
So you can submit these anytime. You could also add a photo. So if there was an issue in like a pothole or maybe a hydrant that's leaking water, and then you hit next, you can, this is optional. So you don't have to provide this information, but if you do, you'll get a response back from the city when the issue is being worked on or addressed. You'll get updates on kind of where it's at. So you don't have to put this information on, but you can tell it to email me, you can tell me to text you or to call you. So we'll create a request and you get a ID number, so you can contact the city and say, hey, I requested number 1544, can you give me an update? But it should send you automated updates as it goes through our system.
And there's also a report utility emergency after hours number I see too. On here too.
Question.
Okay,
Who's in charge of our roads?
our Public Works Department. And there's a category for roads.
That like not speed bump that's under the freeway right there in Martin Way when you're coming. Did that like every time. The road's like just really terrible.
I'm not sure which one
Not a
you're
speed-
actually
It's
talking
like a
about.
bump in the road and I'm like, why is this here?
Hmm.
And I hit it every time because I also go to the gym regularly, so I go under Martin Way maybe 4 or 5 times a week.
So Commissioner Garza, I would say fill one of these out and see what kind of response we can see what that looks like.
Take a picture of it. Yeah, and I can hop out and take pictures and there's an app as well, yes.
Mhm.
I'll be the guinea pig.
So I think, as far as kind of, I'd love to get some feedback from you all. There is a list of things, and I'll start with just kind of on the joint meetings. There was the idea of quarterly, of twice a year. Some feedback from the group on what you think would be best to start engaging with the other jurisdictions. Do you want to see it quarterly? Or do you want to see it twice a year?
I think quarterly makes sense, because if we do it like, just twice a year, it's just too distant.
It's a big gap between, I think quarterly would be better, especially with Tumwater standing up their commission and potentially attending, right? At least quarterly would be more regular and consistent for them rather than 6 months out type of right. So if they do need to lean on us for guidance or workshopping ideas, we're at least able to collaborate with them more regularly. That's my opinion.
I think quarterly would be about right. If we move much further out from that 4 times a year, it loses its importance, I think, and the focus we're trying to bring to it. And quarterly at a minimum. We've got so many jurisdictions we're trying to juggle and bring in, and different people at different stages of the developmental process. But quarterly, I think, would keep it front and center of everybody. And, you know, we want to see some continual growth, you know, but we don't have anything to report this quarter, you know. It's an indication that it's not being taken seriously. So I would opt for quarterly. Any more frequently than that, then we run into problems on the other end of things. We're meeting too frequently and not giving people a chance to get anything done in between meetings, so.
That sounds good, and maybe we, all 8 of us wouldn't have to go. Maybe we could, you know, have half a team, you know, half of our team go once and then report back or something, so that if we have,
Oh,
we
John.
don't have too many meetings.
Yeah, I know at our table we were discussing, you know, maybe, and also from what I'm hearing now, having the quarterly one with like maybe like the full team or most of the team, and then perhaps even like a monthly check-in, just to make sure that like we're all tracking each other's events or the happenings. You know, we could pass it on to our respective entities, as I do, just kind of keep our a finger on the pulse, if you will, without it, you know, being too formal or maybe overblown, perhaps.
So on the quarterly meeting, is this group, as we get together with the other jurisdictions, okay with having 2 potential meetings 1 month, if one is for the Commission on Equity and then one is for the regional body? So that way we can continue the work on the Commission on Equity itself, because last time this one took up one of our Commission on Equity meetings.
Yeah,
So is that something that the body feels
that
comfortable
sounds
moving
good
forward
to
with?
me.
Yeah,
I'm
I
with
think,
that.
I think so. I think we have work to do.
But as far as the meetings having representation from the different entities, I think the meeting should be open to all members of all the entities, and whoever can make it, and then those who can't make it, the information gets shared with them later.
So my concern was, you know, I'm busy with school a lot of times, and so different presentations and stuff, and my schedule may not be permitting depending on what day it's on.
And then I think, you know, Commissioner Hegwood just, you know, brought up of maybe a smaller group getting together to help kind of facilitate and plan some of the items too that are going on that. That's certainly something we can talk to our jurisdictional partners about, maybe a chair and, you know, one other representative kind of getting together on a smaller group to really help determine kind of how those move forward. So I know there's a list of a lot of other items too that were identified on there. And I think they're all really good items, and it'd be really good for folks to focus maybe the next regional meeting too on kind of prioritizing some of that with our partners and our understanding our resources. But also this group will have an opportunity to prioritize some of the actions for 2026 in our next business item.
Where was that document listed? I overlooked it somehow. Was it an attachment to our meeting material for this meeting?
Correct. It should be attachment 1 in our meeting materials, and if it's not up there, well, I'll make sure that it's we can certainly make sure it's up there.
That was under the staff report.
Okay. That wasn't okay.
Yep.
Shit, I missed it.
And we'll send this out to all of our regional partners now that we've gotten to review it here at the Commission on Equity. And we'll start working with staff to potentially look to set up another meeting. If we're kind of doing this on a quarterly basis, the next meeting would probably have to come sometime in the new year, just recognizing we're getting into kind of a crunch time with a lot of other things. So anticipate maybe January, February timeframe, but I'll certainly provide this body with an update as we go. Appreciate it. Thank you. That is the end of my items on that.
Oh, great. Okay, we ready to move to the next one? So strengths, opportunities, aspirations, result, exercise, and 2026 work plan. You again. Great.
Well, this is actually something that we talked about at our retreat, and we didn't have enough time to go through all of it. So I want to spend some time today really focusing on our SOAR exercise and thinking what our priorities are for 2026 as we start to put together the 2026 work plan for the commission. So just as background, the Commission on Equity met on September 6th. And part of the goals of the retreat were twofold. One was to really network and connect. And we did a lot of exercises, including an exercise where you got to talk about your shield, an exercise where you got to learn about your Clifton strengths, but then also Clifton strengths of your other advisory board members. And then we were going to transition to really focusing on a visioning reflection and how we move forward exercise, but we did not run out of time other than a brief introduction into this topic. And so that's what we want to spend some time on tonight. So what we're going to do is called a SOAR or a ROAR exercise, with the S standing for strengths and R being reflection. The O being opportunities, the A being aspirations, and really with the aspirations, we want to look in the short term to really kind of focus on what kind of things can we put into the 2026 work plan and what maybe goes a little bit later. And then what are the results associated with some of the things we'd like to see. And so this is a strategic planning activity that really focuses on, hey, how do we build off of the momentum of the things that we're doing while also thinking about what the future looks like, and really is grounded in our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging strategic plan. So I know I see a couple plans on the table. We really want to go through those documents and materials tonight to kind of identify, what are some possibilities. There also is an excerpt that is included in the packet in attachment 2. And I do just want to stress that this is an excerpt that was intentionally made from the diversity, inclusion, and belonging strategic plan to really focus on kind of this exercise. So it includes the mission, vision, values, it includes goals, it includes sub areas, it includes strategies, and it includes the benchmarks of where we are today so that we could focus on, planning and visioning. This document is not a replacement for the full adopted version of the strategic plan. This is created and designed specifically for the exercise that we're doing right now. The full diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging strategic plan can be found on our website. It's still up there and available for everyone. And that is the adopted version. So I know Commissioner Brown is not here, but kind of timely as part of this visioning exercise we're going to do. We were asked, and I know also Vice Chair Jackson was asked as well, to be a part of the Leadership Thurston County Equity Day. And I know we'll hear an update from Commissioner Jackson on the panel that she was on. But the topic that was presented to us, Commissioner Brown and myself, was how are we moving forward? And I thought, wow, that's really a great topic considering the exercise we want to do with the Commission on Equity. So a couple of these slides are from our presentation. It went off really, really well. But one of the things that Commissioner Brown and I focused on in this presentation is kind of thinking of our equity work as being a marathon and not a sprint. And so really focusing on how do you stay active and continue to move forward, recognizing that even sometimes when you're trying to move forward, it seems like a step back, but you're building that muscle memory and that resilience to be able to continue moving forward. And so our key was, the key to movement is the refusal to stand still. And we broke this down into 4 elements. The first being stretching. So if you're going to go run a marathon, you probably should make sure that you stretch. And by stretch in an equity sense, we meant be very intentional with your actions. Warm up, understand the framework in what you're doing and why you're doing it, and use that as your foundation moving forward. The second item was to work on your stride. I will just say, and I'm sorry, I'm a runner, so I've applied that lens to this. I've heard the only thing more insufferable about running is hearing somebody talk about their running, so I apologize. But one of the things about stride is you think, oh, running's just running. But actually, there is technique to running, and if you work on your technique, you can improve your time by over 10%. So it's something to really focus on, and I know this group has been focusing on of making the most of the limited energy and resources that we have. So being intentional with the stretching and then making sure that we're putting our energies towards things that we can have actionable items and get done. The third thing we focused on was being accountable. And you all know this with the emphasis on accountability, it's to log it. So if you make sure that you're showing the community what you're doing, you can continue to move forward. And then finally, the fourth one is to repeat all of those items above. So, having a relentless forward progress and for justice in the case of equity. And so as part of our presentation, we talked about the stretch of being intentional in actions. We talked about the history of the Commission on Equity, which for background, it started way earlier than the commission was formed. And I know Vice Chair Jackson was part of this, but it actually started back in 2018 with a Civic Leaders Forum and Equity Work Group. And the idea was that the city got together with civic leaders from historically marginalized and underrepresented communities and said, hey, how can we help remove barriers to access and participation in government? And what's going on? What are you seeing in the community that we don't see in the community or hear a lot about? This work was accelerated with the murder of George Floyd in 2020. And so the city council started working on a ordinance to create a equity commission to make sure that we had a body that was here to be a advisory board to the city council, make recommendations on how we can make this community a much better place. And as part of creating that body, they put together a purposeful framework. They focused on learning about the community and the organization and really wanted to make sure that there was an emphasis on engaging the general community. And so I know you all know this. Ordinance 1581 created the commission. It was tasked with creating and advancing opportunities that will create a more welcoming community, continuing critical conversations on race and equity, seeking greater participation from underrepresented community members, and identifying existing gaps and barriers which could prevent full participation in government and public policy. Since, as part of the stretch, you all learned a lot about city departments. We had folks come in and talk a little bit about what they do just broadly, how they were integrating and fusing equity efforts into what they do, giving that background. So this body had a understanding of some of the items they work on. Part of the stretch, you also engaged in a lot of listening sessions and forums. And this was really to engage the community and hear from their perspective what was going on, what were the things that should be considered and looked at. And as part of this stretch, it went into striding. So we were able to create the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Belonging Strategic Plan. This didn't happen overnight. This happened over a 3-year period from 2021 to 2024. And this is the guide for advancing equity efforts from the city's perspective and making the best of those limited resources. So we have in the excerpt you have and also on the screen, we have our vision, our mission, and our values. And these are, foundational to the work that we are doing here, not only on the Commission on Equity, but at the City of Lacey. We have our goals and sub areas. So our goals were workforce and work environment, community access and engagement, policy programs and services, and livability. And within each of these broad goals, there were several sub areas of goals, and then even furthermore strategies. And then also identifying what the city's role is. The city a lead? Is it a partner? Is it an advocate? And that was really important to understand that, the city wasn't always the lead in everything, but there are multiple things that the city could be a lead in. There were things that the city could be a partner, and that there are things sometimes where we're just a voice and, saying, hey, this is the city's stance on this topic. As part of that striding, we have done a lot of work on the Commission on Equity, not only since the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Planning was adopted, but even prior to that. So the material that I'm passing out was the same material that you all received at the retreat back in September. And this is all of the agenda items that the Commission on Equity has worked on since 2022. So you can see all of the work that's been going on over the last couple of years. This slide up here just highlights a few of them, you know, from the diversity strategic plan to the equity map to the DEIB summit, working on the comprehensive plan, community forums, surveys, language access, advisory board stipend, art programs, land acknowledgements, park sponsorship policies, a lot of events, legislative meeting processes. There's a lot of things that this group has worked on. And so just to highlight a few of these in a little bit more detail, we had the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Belonging Summit, as well as our community panels as part of that. Continuing some of the work that we've done here recently, that's been a huge lift. I know Veronica Hand, obviously instrumental in putting all of that together, as well as some of the commissioners who participated on our panels. We had our Regional Equity Advisory Board meeting. This is what we just talked about, of something we'd never done before this year that we have done, of getting people together from a variety of advisory boards, and talked about a lot of the things that we just went over. And then we also have our regional equity staff meetings that we have been doing now for a little over a year and a half, of when we got together on a staff side to talk about what's going on in your jurisdiction, what are some of your best practices, resources, what are updates on some of the projects, how are you dealing with challenges, and where are there opportunities for partnership. As part of the Log It, Be Accountable and Share, something we integrated into the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Belonging Strategic Planning was our accountability status report. So every year, so in beginning of 2026, I will be coming back in front of you with a 2025 update of all of the things we've been doing. And we'll be able to take a look at, you know, were we successful? Did we make significant progress? Do we make some progress? Or is it still something that's emerging? So we'll be able to take a look at all of that. And we also log it through our work plans. So every year we put together our work plans of what we do. We review them at the 6-month mark. I also did an updated review for your packet. It's attachment 3. It's a 10-month update. And then when we adopt a new plan, we talk about what we did last year and what we didn't do, what we didn't accomplish, just so we are being very clear with our actions and what we're hoping to do and how we hope to accomplish things in the future. And then we repeat all of these elements, and that's what we're here tonight to do. So the first thing on the SOAR exercise is the strengths and reflection part. And so with the materials you have here, I also have created a little sheet for you all to write your own notes on. So if you want to pass that around, we're starting in the first block in the top left corner, and this is the reflection or strengths. And what I'd like you all to do is, you know, based on your experiences, what you've heard, write down some of the strengths and things you want to reflect upon, including what are we doing well right now, what makes us unique, and what else would you like the group to know about what you see as a strength or something that was incredible that's happened as part of the Commission on Equity. And Commissioner Hegwood, if you can make those notes as well, we are going to compile them here in person, and we'll make sure to write yours down as well.
We're writing them down.
Take for yourself, take a couple of minutes, and then we'll open it up as a discussion and we'll highlight a couple of the things. But just right now, work on your own and we'll bring it back together as a group. Michelle, would you like a pen? Yes, please. Okay, make it your iPhone. Looks like there's one. This may be a little bit easier to write with. Thank you. Do you like a pen as well, or are you?
Oh, that'll work. I was gonna start coloring on my.
This individual strengths as the commission.
Strengths as a commission. Yeah, great question. So these are strengths as together as the group. What have you all worked well on? What's going right? And you know, not only in this group, but if you want to just talk about equity efforts broadly.
Just do all four?
Just focus on the top left
Top.
corner and we'll come back together. And I will collect your papers at the end of this to make a larger mosaic.
Yeah.
But for the purposes of tonight, I do want to just hear from you all on maybe a couple of your top ones that you think are the strengths of this group or something you want to reflect on. Sure.
I think one of the strengths that started us out, that reflected throughout the rest of our work, was the support of the city council.
I have that here. And also, with that is the structured support. I don't know, city staff, you always have agenda ready, you got everything documented, recorded, prepared. So your support is just tremendous.
Yeah.
Part of, yeah.
I
part
said
of the
great staff
success.
support.
Part of that success is you and your team. And I also want to say our commitment, the commissioners, I have not seen anyone not showing up. I mean, when we always there unless you really can't. So our commitment, we bring our lived experience, everybody represent different segment of our society. And yet we can always come up with action-oriented activity that we did together. So I think us too make it very unique.
I have one that I love, and it's the ideas interaction. Like your suggestion for the VA forum, it was just an idea and you all took it and it happened in like a very short period of time. So I admire that very much.
So to build on what Kim just said, diverse backgrounds and experiences that members of the commission have brought to this work.
Great.
Don't have. Yeah. Oh,
John?
Hi there. Yeah, I was along the same lines. More specifically though, how our professional interactions and our ability to work together as a group, I think is something that makes us very unique. We all get along. We've all, have a general appreciation for each other and our thoughts and opinions and the contributions that we bring to the table. And I think that shows in the work that we do and what we get done. On top of that, I think the city of Lacey and specifically our commission, we've positioned ourselves as kind of a leader in the Thurston County equity space. We've done it first. We're doing it the best, in my opinion, at risk of sounding a little too humble. And we have other communities following us in our footprint. And so I think that's also what makes us really unique is like we are out here doing this. We have a committed team that works well together. And others see that and want to emulate it and want to work with us. And so it's helping us do our work here better. And it's also bringing the entire county closer together and also doing this work.
And I think we are also very mission driven. We all are here because we have some important commitment that we want to carry out. It's just everybody have that desire, I believe. We're mission driven.
I appreciate the relationships that we have with the departments. That it's a trusting, mutual listening.
I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate. I like the call outs and the mishaps that we have because it allows us to learn from them. So like when we had the Zoom bombing, you know, if we hadn't had that, we wouldn't have known to have some of the processes and procedures that we have in place now to safeguard, you know, our efforts and the call outs. I actually just added that one as soon as you had talked about the commitment to showing up. When we first started, we were all, you know, it was COVID, we were all on Zoom, and I remember Ms. Jackson saying, we need to show up, we need to be here, we need to make sure that we are here. That was like the one thing, as soon as you started talking about that, I was like, Thelma Jackson did that. And it helped and that was like right in the beginning. So yes, we had that commitment, but that gave it a little bit more push edge and making it more real. I mean, we still have the Zoom and we do have our Zoom things, but that also encouraged us to kind of be out there a little bit more, even if we had to be on Zoom, but then coming in and showing up. So I totally think that reflecting on some of the mishaps and the call outs is good to have on there too, because it showed that we really, I guess, grow and we don't take things personal because you need to be able to call these things out. You know, it's not supposed to all be kumbaya all the time.
So I'm gonna put that up there as learn from experiences and growth mindset. How does that sound?
I like that.
I was gonna say the growth mindset with the introduction of, just embracing technology, with the equity index, was the first thing that came to my mind. We're unfortunately careening down technology path that's, Terminator status, but it's really great to be able to access the equity index map because I actually pulled it up on a conference I was in Boston and showed all other jurisdictions. I was like, this is what I do when I'm not here dealing with my day job. So I really respect that and appreciate that.
I think another strength of our group is our willingness to be visible in the community.
I don't know if we already said it, we're quite action oriented because we make things happen. We talk about, but then we started right away the listen in sessions with our different communities. Yeah, which I thought like, are we ready? But we made it happen, so.
And then our partnerships that we've developed, I know, I remember one meeting where we were talking about, why don't we do this? We don't have the resources, but then we partnered with people like the Juneteenth events and bringing in for not the retreat, before that last meeting, how we were talking about bringing in the people from Alice. So bringing in the resources that are out there and involving them with what we're doing so that we're not recreating the wheel.
I think another strength of this group was our desire to not just talk about these things, but we put in the work to actually result in that strategic plan in conjunction with the staff, where we now have a roadmap as we're going forward with performance indicators, the whole thing.
Yeah, actualization.
And I'll touch upon that a little bit in my comments about the leadership group. But, when I talked about our strategic plan and how proud we were of it, in the Q&A, and one of the questions was, so what, you guys did a strategic plan? Strategic plans are a dime a dozen. What does that mean? And so I had to explain to them that there just weren't goals and objectives, but performance indicators, codes to, and they said, oh, okay, But we were willing to go there and staff was willing to go there with us. And so we have what we have now. And that's a real strength because folk shy away from strategic planning because they've had so many bad experiences where they just were dust collectors on the shelf. And so again, we're a leader in that regard because this is tough work.
Yes.
It's tough work. And when we start talking about accountability, that's where people start doing the moonwalk and backing up on you. And so that got a lot of interest at the leadership group when I talked about our strategic plan.
Cause it's a mindset. I mean, it's a living document. And if they thought about it like that, it wouldn't be sitting on the shelf collecting dust.
That was the point.
Yeah.
Maybe when we wrap up our 2025 report, we send it to the leadership group and just give them an example of how we're being accountable in our
Yes.
actions.
Yeah,
Oh.
so that's a real strength of this group. I mean, we could have shied away from that and didn't want anything to do with it because we've had bad experiences with strategic planning in the past and just say, oh, no, not another, dust collecting document. But no, we embraced it wholeheartedly, staff embraced it. And that's a real strength. We cannot take that for granted.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we're quite vocal. There's no white elephant sitting here.
Nope. That's
We
that
talk,
call out.
right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, nice.
Well, I think this is a really great starting point and collection for strengths and just maybe other reflections. Are there other non-strength reflections that anybody wants to bring up? All right. Well, I think moving from strengths and reflection, we want to talk about some opportunities. And so to open back the slide deck, I wonder how I did this. I think I hit a button somewhere. Ah, there we go.
Ooh, I did want to add one other strength and reflection. Our youth, the way that we incorporate our youth and we don't silence them. I mean, they are part of the future and they do need to be front and center and we need to support them with that. And I think we've done a pretty good job at doing that too.
I'll write that up there in just a second. This will work. Okay, so opportunities, going from our strengths, we want to think about what possibilities can we take advantage of? What's changing in our environment, community, or culture? Who can we collaborate with and anything else? I know we've talked a little bit about kind of partnerships, but take a couple minutes, think about this question, and we'll come back as a group. One more minute. All right, let's bring it back together as a group here and talk about some of the highlights you have for opportunities.
Well, we're gonna get some new council members after the election, so connecting with them, seeing what their ideas and their initiatives are.
We have an opportunity to lead the way with all of these collaborations with other equity entities.
So I have similar, I think that our work experience itself, since its inception of our group, we have I guess strong, most experienced than anyone in the community. So that itself is an opportunity to me that we continue to build on and continue to make that connection, partnership. Um, And the work itself, I mean, more than any time before, our work itself need to be done. I think that, yeah, DEIB, with all the uncertainties and, you know, federal government, restrictions and challenges that we face, the challenge itself is an opportunity for us to work on it. I don't know if I'm still making sense.
I'm gonna put that up there as, work is now more important than ever.
And I phrased it just slightly different by saying we have an opportunity to set the stage for the tough work ahead in light of the pushback.
You know, what can we do to bring the community more into it? I mean, we can do our part, but if we don't, you know, outreach to the businesses, the chambers, the schools, the colleges, you know, yeah, we need to be able to pantries, the nonprofits, you know, bring them into the fold as well, because we're definitely gonna need we're gonna need the resources so we're not duplicating work, which could potentially slow things down if we all know what everybody else is doing. And have a directory of resources to be able to get to people.
So I just want to highlight, and that's a really good point, Commissioner Hart, that we're currently working on our human services needs assessment. So Michelle Chavez, who I know you've met a couple of times, is going to be engaging in stakeholder groups with a variety of nonprofit boards. And we can certainly have Michelle come back and report a little bit about what she's hearing as part of that project moving forward.
I mean,
And
information.
mentioning that program, we have you know, opportunities to give recognition to that human services grants and the grantees and the spread the word for the next round of grants.
And I think our regional meeting is also an opportunity for us to build further support, network, build alliance, so we should.
I think we have an opportunity or opportunities to help transform systems as we shift some of our discussion from equity to inequities. What must be done differently if in fact we want to achieve equity, inclusion, and belonging for all, we have to talk about the inequities to get there. So we have an opportunity to help transform systems.
The community engagement, but we're not struggling with COVID-19 anymore. And we're pretty fresh out of it now, so we can start rebuilding what we lost from the pandemic.
Yeah, and Michelle, one thing we always do is we host a meeting with the youth council and to get some feedback. But I think one of the things we've talked about is how can we get even like a broader group of youth and young adults engaged? So that's a great question of like, how can we go out and do that? What does that look like?
And we can come back and add that to the strengths that Makita mentioned tail on. Youth involvement.
I just put youth up here, but
Okay,
I
I didn't
can
see it.
expand that.
No, it's okay, I didn't see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder if they have a youth summit, if we couldn't have like a little room at the youth summit to like come sit with us a little bit, you know.
Yeah, we're definitely starting to think about one for 2026. So I know Michelle's gonna be involved in that. So that is certainly a concept that we could consider.
What about some educational opportunities for the community? Like I was, okay, so I don't know, I do a lot of TikToking, and one of the people that one of my mutuals was talking today about, you know, of course, the things with the EBT and SNAP and the trickle down effect from that. We're not stopping, we're not thinking about the broader picture. It has a lot more to do than just, you know, food available for people that are on those programs, but think about how that's gonna expand and expound when it comes to the money that SNAP provides to the grocery stores, to allow those grocery stores to be able to continue to grab purchases and purchasing stuff from those distributors and from those farmers and from people like me. If that stuff's not selling, then you've got to mark it down. And when it's not being marked down, then the stores aren't gonna have as many people that they're gonna employ. They're gonna start cutting hours, and the store shelves are gonna start getting bare. And so I don't think that people think, how does that funding not being there trickle down to me who's working and is fine now, may not be fine later. So education opportunity to the community so that we can, you know, find that empathy and help them think outside of their own personal involvement and situations.
I think we have a great opportunity to follow up on the employee survey and to look at how our employees, the city employees are doing and what do they need and where can we advance equity in their.
How has that changed?
I also think we have an opportunity to expand our scope, talking about equity, into other areas in the community, such as education, such as the schools. And I often say, you know, we can't have equitable cities without equitable schools.
And healthcare.
Well, through all segments of community, and I was just using education as an example, healthcare, employment, economic development,
Yeah.
businesses, housing, homelessness. So it's not just a topic up here that jumped out 3 or 4 years ago, but it has real meaning. It has real meaning, and we have an opportunity to keep pushing that envelope so that everybody's thinking of equity as a way of being and not just a side activity or work group, but it becomes a tapestry where it's just there. We no longer have to talk about inequities because we've done what we need to do to make sure equity, inclusion, and belonging is just a part of who we are, what we're about in every aspect, intergenerationally, the whole thing.
On that note, Veronica, do you want to provide an update on the first-time home buyers?
Yeah, actually, you just read my mind. I was gonna ask you if I could do that. So we have almost everything ready. We're gonna have about 25 exhibitors We're gonna, the event is November 8th. Is it okay if I send you the flyer tomorrow to share?
Yeah, if you send it to me, we'll make sure it gets added to that email.
Yeah, and if you can help us promote with the flyer, we have the flyer in English and Spanish. The event has two parts. One is the fair itself, where we're gonna have the 25 exhibitors. We're being very intentional on inviting all kinds of people, not just lenders or like we're gonna have a very good variety, everything or anybody you need to talk to in order to buy a house. And who can you get also support from as a minority with, like, for example, down payment assistance or grants, things like that. And then the second part of the event is gonna be a workshop. We're gonna have two sessions, a morning session and the afternoon session, the same workshop. And it's the home buying journey. So the Housing Resource Center, I always forget the exact name, but they're gonna be the ones making the presentation. We're having the PowerPoint and the presentation in English, but because we cannot afford to have interpreters in several languages, what we're doing is we're having the PowerPoint translated to Spanish, Korean, Vietnamese, Tagalog, and Chinese. So we're gonna have some printouts for people attending the conference and also a QR code. So some people might take the paper version, some will probably prefer the digital steps. And yes,
Date again?
November 8th at the Lacey Community Center in Pacific, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Will there be an aspect for follow-up there? Like, okay, you know, now I'm considering buying a house. What happens next? If you know, okay, we decided to get this house and we realized that maybe the water bill was a little too pricey. We didn't figure that out. What are some of the steps to kind of help?
So
us
there's
with that?
two things that we're doing as a follow-up. It's kind of difficult because we don't have a registration, like pre-registration, because we want to open it to all the public. We're limited on the type of things we're doing. And also because we don't want to have the responsibility of asking people for their, with the environment, for their contact information. So that limits us a lot. But what we're doing is the person who's presenting, her institution, they do a 5-hour class. So that would be like the next step. So we're gonna have a registration for the next step, which is a 5-hour class. But we also have included in the presentation and also as an exhibitor. I don't know the terms very well because I'm not from here and I'm not familiar with the whole process, but it's something like a warrantor. So for example, if something breaks and so what do you need to do if something breaks, or so which is like the extra mile, because a lot of people exactly don't consider those things.
Correct.
So yes, we are considering that.
Okay.
And you said a flyer is being prepared?
Yeah, we already have a flyer in English and Spanish, so I will send it to Shannon so that she can send it to all of you. And if you can help us promote the event with your contacts, that would be awesome.
Veronica, do you have a couple of hard copies that you can grab right now?
I can print them, yes.
We could, and that way we can distribute some right now.
Yeah,
November 8th, not far away.
It's not.
I know, 2 weeks.
I know.
So we'll get some handouts. So don't leave if you want some. Brandy is working. Perfect.
That's great. What is the name of the group that's? Is the
So-
equity staff people? I mean,
No,
who's sponsoring this?
Well, there is a group, and if you have in the flyer, you'll see the name of the institutions. We don't have a group name or anything. We just engaged institutions that were interested in participating and helping us organize. The main sponsors is the City of Lacey and the Thurston County Realtors Association, because
Okay,
they got a
that's-
grant.
That's what I'm talking about.
So
So,
it's
you
just the
know,
two of us.
I'm gonna be asked, who's putting this on?
But it was really interesting because the Thurston County Realtors Association approached what is Jen Adams' position, housing
Housing coordinator.
coordinator. And
Okay,
so they thought it was more the city manager's role to do this. And they just were planning on doing it with the city of Lacey. But I asked them if they would be open to include the whole county. So we reached out to Olympia and Water, Thurston County, and then other organizations, and also the Department of Commerce and the Office of Equity. So that has been giving us more impact and strength and more access to more people and resources. And then I was able to attend the conference, house in Washington. So I was able also to network a lot with potential institutions who would help us promote the event as well. So it's been like a big group. It started as something very small, but it became a big group effort.
I have one more possible opportunity, and that is we could really dive down into that equity map and do some community, I mean, some neighborhood forums, listening forums, so that we look at where the disparities are in the equity in the neighborhoods for low income, for housing, rental versus ownership, something like that. Even the heat map, you know, and then the commission target a neighborhood and having a forum somewhere in that neighborhood to talk about some of the issues.
Pinpoint their individual needs, individual as
Yeah,
the
as
community
a-
where they're
as
at,
a-
yeah.
That's a great idea.
I like it.
The opportunity that Equity Map presents for groups like ours and staff. Great idea.
Yeah. Good one.
I think these are really great opportunities, and that leads us to, okay, we've got all of these strengths, we have all of these opportunities, and I know this group is, ready for the action items. And so the next portion of this is going to be thinking about what do we want to accomplish in the short term? We know what we want to accomplish in the long term. We've got the equity plan, but thinking about the next 12 months, what do we want to accomplish? And then maybe some things that are maybe just outside of that 12-month period. So next couple of years, but not like super long. That's what the equity plan is for. But take a couple of minutes, write down what are some of the things that you would like to see accomplished. And for that, just to highlight, one of the things that we did in the packet, again, in that excerpt that we have of the strategic plan, so you all have this, so you can take a look at it, is for each of the goal areas, I've put in all of the strategies and then benchmarks associated with them. So for example, for workforce and environments, you can find all of that information 19 through 28. For community access engagement, 29 to 37, for policies, programs and services, 38 to 61, and livability, 62 to 80. So if you wanna review those, we'll come back again in about 5 minutes and we'll have a conversation about where do you all want to go in the next couple of years, or next year, and a little bit beyond that, but not way beyond. Take one more minute.
We need you 5 in Spanish and 10 in English.
Like this
Yeah, that's your whole package, Michelle.
Oh,
for you to distribute.
Oh,
Yeah. I'll give you more. So I'll give you 15 to each one of you, 5 Spanish and 10 English.
All right, wrap up the last couple of thoughts you have. Let's focus on 12 months. What do you all have for next 12 months?
definitely the regional meetings, we need to start that meeting. Want to see the revival of Juneteenth.
Mentorship.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that, Commissioner Hart?
Yeah, so mentorship, a couple of different ways, actually. I put on there, having more youth and young adult engagement. As well as bringing in, more diverse individuals to even work within the city.
I have one more, is it possible to do a multilingual newsletter?
What was that, Kim?
Newsletter in multi-language.
I just didn't hear what you said, yeah.
And then our community outreach, broadening that as well.
I don't know if you can see it. This pen kind of has like this reflective quality to it. It's a little strange.
Looking at this year coming up with the other groups that are trying to get some traction under their efforts, I'd love to see more impact in their mindsets. If they could just shift their mind, the way they think about it, they stand a much better chance of being successful in their attempts to truly get into DEIB work and not just checking off a box to say we did that or we have that, but what difference is it making in your community kind of thing? So to impact mindsets.
How crazy would like equity map neighborhood listening sessions? Cause that was the first thing that came to my mind, the one right below it, like the neighborhood specific.
Yep.
I really like that idea. My wife was yelling at me because we don't have a park in our immediate area. She's like, go fix it. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that.
You
You don't
know,
have a
I think
mower?
that's definitely something we can take a look at and focus some efforts on, like, hey, let's maybe go geographical and get some feedback on there. I will highlight that as part of the Parks, Culture and Recreation, they have a strategic plan as well. But they ultimately, one of their goals is to have all community members living within a travel shed about 10 minutes, half mile.
That was one of those my immediate area, cause they have like Penn Wild, Austin Place. And it's different little named clusters, I don't know what they would be called, but neighborhoods compared to, the HOA, and cause I just wrote a paper on the Lacey's grant. Program regarding the HOA, and the 2,500.
The neighborhood grant program.
Yeah, yeah. Oh.
And I think, you know, Jenny Bowersfeld, who runs that program, will be helpful in if we explore this of setting up those meetings.
Yeah.
Having those relationships with all of those homeowner associations, but also informal neighborhoods.
That's the thing that I was most caught up on is the equity injection point for non-HOA communities.
Yeah.
Cause an HOA is sitting on millions of dollars, right? But a neighborhood is not.
Yeah, possibly, depending on the neighborhood association.
Yeah.
I'd like the commission to look into the employee training and manager training. We had talked about some and especially around equity. And workplace culture.
Can I comment on that, Shannon?
Sure.
So as a part of the follow-up with the employee engagement survey, yeah, I've been working with HR and we created a list of potential training that we're proposing the city manager regarding training in general and training on DEI. The training on DEI, most of it will be from LinkedIn because it's what we have more access to. There's just one training called Crucial Conversations that would be in person and it's obviously more expensive. So we're still gonna look into that. But we haven't had a chance to meet with the city manager to review the list that we're proposing, but we're already working on that.
And that's, again, when we get to a place where we have, you know, good understanding information, we can provide more details. But I will just say, as a manager, we just had to take a training on managing multi-generational workforces, which, I mean, there's certainly equity conversations embedded in there.
Like who hosted that?
This one was specifically for managers.
Where did the training come from?
There is a trainer, and I can provide you their contact information, but I know she
I'm just curious.
provides this
Just
training
I know.
quite a bit.
She taught a course at St. Martin's regarding that.
About broader access to people who don't have access to like the internet or people who have hard of hearing.
Accessibility?
Yes, and then also sidewalks. I'm always gonna be a proponent to sidewalks and transportation issues. So and when I say transportation issues, we are have a lot of military people that are here. And so, you know, maybe some more transportation going north to Pierce County for some of the people that we have here that have to go to Madigan. Is a big disconnect there. Being able to get them out there. I think if we could even just get them to the visitor center, even if we can get them there, they can actually take the on-base shuttle on and off from there and get to where they need to go within the base. But just getting them from here to there, that's a big issue. That is a huge issue, so.
On sidewalks, so the city is working on a sidewalk policy, and so we'll make sure to get you all some more information on that shortly.
What about bike lanes? I just asked because I think I read something somewhere that we're like not very, well, not just Lacey, but like the area itself, because I had a fellow student present on bicycle lanes within the surrounding areas from Evergreen and
Well, I think that's definitely something in, you know, the equity map of making that kind of clear too, of like where you can identify what that is. We do have a bike ped plan, and so I can send that out to the group so you can understand kind of what our strategic framework is for bike lanes.
We would love to finish up the community connectivity tool and share it or put it out to our regional meeting to add to it, or, you know, just it's really a good tool for people to connect. What was that called? Community connectivity tool where we had all the lists of who were the DEIs and
Yeah.
in education,
Okay.
what were the sources of things for LGBTQ, you know.
Yes, okay, thank you.
All the names and numbers and.
Yeah.
One aspiration I have for the coming year as this work moves to the next level of challenge, so to speak, is that we somehow help develop an understanding of the complexities of systems change and systems thinking. It's one thing to talk about it, but how do we get there from where we are? Everything is so embedded, everything is so historical. How do we get from where we are as people, as groups, as systems, to the kinds of things we're talking about we want to create to make our systems what they are? If we can just work on that a little bit this coming year, so everybody understands this is not easy work. It's gut-wrenching work to have to admit or own up to the role you've been playing in inequities with people. And the operative question for me is always, what are we willing to do differently if we want a different outcome? So change is hard. Transformation is tough. So this coming year, so that people aren't just doing things to say they're doing it, but is it significant enough to make an outcome? I don't know any short way to say that, but that's the thought. What did I say? Understanding of the complexities of systems thinking and change.
I think I was in a meeting earlier today and, oh no, it was it was this meeting when you were talking about the fabric and the tapestry and how we're all connected. And if you pull one thread,
Yeah.
you may inadvertently, cause disruptions on lots of other threads, right? So
Exactly.
everything is connected to everything.
You know, and not just thinking through, but like, is the change you're gonna make gonna be significant enough, you know? What if it's just, I did this change, but I didn't get the end result that I wanted, or what have you, so. Or the result didn't target the right audience, might even be the thing too, so, yeah,
Yeah, we're shifting from business as usual
yeah.
to some other whatever. But how do we make that transition so that people aren't just dealing with it as a surface kind of thing? And I don't know what to call it, but
And
some kind of way we gotta get some conversation and some exchange going on to say, are we really ready for this? Are we really, we're saying we're committed, but are we really?
And how do you overcome that fear, the fear of
Do
unknown?
differently.
Yeah.
To get a different outcome. When we look at our employee profile and our work profile, and we see the inequities and the gaps, but what are we willing to do differently in the hiring process and the recruitment process and the outreach process to attract a different pool of applicants so that in 3 years or 5 years, that look different? What are we willing to do differently? And so, I don't know, what do we say?
That complexity of systems and change.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I understand what you're saying of like, really taking a look at, with our action items, do they have results? And if not, what do we need to take a look at? But also recognizing that your impact may have unintentional consequences and understanding what those look like, because we're all connected. And I don't think I shortened that. I think I just made that even
I
longer.
was trying to shorten it here for a few words up there.
And that one thing we will be doing next year is looking at the 2025 report and like, where are we making some movement? Where are we not? And that's gonna be really critical. Do that and update the information that goes back down into the plan.
Well, I think this is a really good starting point and really helpful. And so, just to kind of, I've got a slide on this coming up, but just so you all know, I'm gonna take this information and bring it back at our next meeting in kind of like what could be some possible next steps for 2026. So we'll certainly circle back and continue to look at this. I think the last just kind of looking quadrant on our exercise here is results. And I think a lot of these, you've already indicated some of the results, but I do want just to give a couple of minutes for y'all to think about this if there's something that we've missed or haven't talked about. But what outcomes will show we're making progress? So what do we see in those systems and those changes? What are the impacts? What does success look like in the short term? And I think really just for today, let's focus on the short term because that's what we want to know. And then how are we going to track or celebrate these successes? I know we've already got our work plan, we've got our accountability report, but is there something that's missing? So take 5 minutes and think about this. Take another minute. Right, what outcomes will show we're making progress and what does success look like in the short term?
Performance indicators are being met.
Hopefully the questions and inquiries that we have become second nature so that, maybe something that might be, hey, I didn't think about that, or if maybe somebody throws in a curveball, somebody's already been like, we thought about that, and, here's what we have planned. So maybe they think outside the box themselves. Potentially.
I want to see that our work created the new pathway of doing things. For example, that like we have multilingual newsletter, our equity map is completed. That is really creating we're blazing new pathway, and that is established because we keep doing what we are say we're gonna do. And so I like to see that our plans and actions already, it's being done. So our regional meeting took place, all that so just like what Dr. Jackson said, that the PI is being met, I guess.
Results for me, in short term would be, visible change is beginning to be evident. Beginning to be. I mean, it's not gonna happen overnight. But visibly, something's going on that's changing in the community. It's visibly evident.
Yeah, like increase in engagement, change in the mindset.
Huh?
Like in increasing, like our engagements become increasing on how forums, people are there, Hopefully the mindset has changed and they're not scared to, ask the questions if they're really wanting to learn.
So I guess we are able to celebrate small wins. Because that little small wins, they all gather and then it'll lead up to the bigger, at some point, we'll realize, oh yeah, that actually made a huge impact. Now we think differently, or we have a new way of thinking, so celebrate small wins, all these small things we do, and
Something that indicates to me is one, that the commission is being asked more and more to make presentations, to be a part of different, events. And also sort of along that line, that our departments are wanting to come to us to get advice, that they continue to come for different issues that they run up against, then they want our opinion.
Yeah,
That
beat down
makes
the
me
door to
feel
say,
like-
hey, this is what we've done. Like, yeah, it's right, and then out there.
Another results could be, resources are being more equitably distributed.
Commissioner Garza, I know you were about to say something.
I keep coming back to the newsletter, like, and developing a feedback loop from the community, but I don't really know how that would be achieved. Because you can send out 1,001 surveys and they just kind of fall into deaf ears, right? But without their buy-in, I don't know that. That's why we're here, right? This is improving the community, and the community's buy-in is important. And what does equity look like for them, as well as, because everyone's definition may be a bit different. That's the thing that I'm kind of stuck on, urinating on.
I think that's been a constant theme across all of these areas of like, how do we continue to engage and get more participation across different community groups?
It might be interesting to, like towards the end of 2026, to have a community-wide invitation to come and see, we could present what we have done, what our goals are, what our achievements are, have snacks,
I was gonna just say that, not like this type of.
advertise, but have a more of a put out, come to get to know us. I think it would be.
So how do we do like open house?
Yeah, like
Where it's more of a informal type of.
Informal but formal.
Yeah, informal,
Yeah.
we know what we wanna do, but let's not make it so like where they have to listen and hear our lecture, presentation. Not that, but we just float around and engage with folks. So open house.
That'd be good to do like right before the fourth quarter, because every year we're gonna have turnover in the commission. And so I think if we do have that open house, that would be a good chance to highlight what we've done, as well as, hey, we have positions opening up, for whatever, would you be interested in being a part of the commission if we have open positions?
So I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I really like that idea of the advisory boards, and that's one of the things we're still working on is how do we recruit and kind of get our new advisory board members? And
That would be great.
one of the things we've wanted to do is see if there's a way so we can have like an open enrollment, interviews, and then a kind of Lacey 101 and
Mhm.
get to know your other boards and maybe have a mentor.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
So this open house ideas, as far as being able to present who we are, what we are doing, what we have done and all that. Maybe we'll just post them on the wall so they can go around and look, so we don't have to like have them sit down and listen to us.
Oh, kind of like a
Yeah, the
walkthrough, like.
strategic,
Yeah,
there was
kind
a
of-
strategic
yeah.
plan, open house that I thought went really well. Just a lot of mingling and, streets are over here and parks are there, and this and budget was here, and you just.
That was the
something like
comprehensive
that.
plan.
Comprehensive plan, yeah.
That design was very, very good.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Great, good feedback, and I'll make sure that Community Economic Development knows.
Do you guys still get a lot of people like calling in for stuff?
For services?
Yeah,
Or-
services or paying their bill or anything like that? Do you get high call volume to where maybe there's people waiting? And if so, what are they listening to? Like, are they listening to music until somebody picks up?
Well, that's an excellent question, Commissioner Hart.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we do get high call volumes, and it's typically kind of around our water utility bill cycle. And so we're actually in the process right now of seeing if there's a better kind of call center function so that folks don't just have to hang on online.
Yeah.
And so our IT department, which is our IS department, is working on trying to find some options for the city manager. But the idea could be something where, yes, maybe it's a little bit more like informational, or it calls you back when you're up for, so you can go and do whatever you need to do and not sit on the phone for an hour and a half.
Yeah, my thought, reason behind asking that is if it's just music, could we use that opportunity to kind of advertise, hey, we've got our newsletter going on, and hey, we have this coming up, and we've got that coming up? Or would you, rather have us call back. I think using that, especially since you don't have a lot of people, or there might be people that don't have access. I know I keep coming back to certain things too, but if they don't have access to the internet or they don't like using the internet, this might be another alternative because you can do that for people who maybe have a hard time seeing, or maybe they just don't have access, or if they have hearing issues, they'll still be able to get at least the message on these are some other ways that you can do this. And oh, wait, we have this outreach forum coming up, or we've got, we'll be here, we'll be there. That would be a good way.
Put it up there, and certainly something that I'll pass on to our information systems team as they start looking at what are some options.
Okay.
Any last thoughts? And it won't be the last thought because again, we'll come back to this at our next meeting, so.
I feel bad for John, he's not being able to participate much.
I think maybe an option for other languages on that voicemail. Like on the same for utility billing, like for English, I don't know, Spanish press 1, Korean press 2, Vietnamese press 3. At least for 5 languages.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely something, and so I just put up your phone system and education, so I think there's a lot in that about access.
Back on plans, I forgot to say, in a couple years, I think we should review the land acknowledgement with the tribe again. Just to update.
Yeah, I had that feedback. I already shared with Shannon.
Yeah, and just the information that I provided to Commissioner Garza, because I know you all were part of it, was that we actually had worked with the tribe in the creation, and I understand what you're saying of, a check-in, right?
Just still. Look good. Things changed.
Great. Well, I appreciate this. So like I said, for next steps, we'll take all this information and we'll put it into kind of a more consolidated draft plan for the 2026 work plan. And then the commission will be able to provide some background, any additions or edits, and then we'll come back in the December meeting to ask for your recommendation to bring it forward to the city council. And then for everybody's awareness, and put it on your calendars now, we are tentatively scheduled to meet with the Lacey City Council on January 27th. This is subject to change. But the idea would be just like we've done previously of having a couple of individuals from the Commission on Equity sit with the council and go over the work plan and field any questions about what's in the work plan itself. Any final thoughts or questions? I appreciate everybody's work on this. This is really helpful for me and for our staff to go through and understand as we're thinking about 2026.
Do you want these notes?
I do want those notes, so yes, please don't walk away with them.
Did you want the names or?
No need to put names on them.
Okay.
Nope.
Go back to the last one.
Oh. Sure.
Right, we ready to move to the next one? Commissioner's report, leadership Thurston County presentation. Commissioner Jackson, are you ready?
Ready?
Right.
Let me share these as I start out. Well, I was invited by City Manager Rick Walk to come and share with the Thurston Leadership Group. And the sheet I'm passing around lists the people who make up the 32nd year of the leadership group. And there are 47 people on this list. And it was their equity day, as they called it. And their equity day guiding questions had been, what are the inequities in our community and beyond that need to be addressed? How does my identity influence how I approach equity issues? How does empathetic leadership address inequities in our community? What are leaders and organizations in our community doing to address issues of equity? And my specific assignment, there were two of us that had been invited for the time period 10:45 to noon. Along with myself was Dr. Rodriguez from the Hispanic Roundtable. And the main topic for us to address was equity work to be done, where we come from and where we need to go. And so Dr. Rodriguez and I split the hour 45 minutes, and knowing that Shannon and Cliff were coming in the afternoon to go more in depth about the work of the Equity Commission, Rick was more interested in me talking about the time I've been around Lacey, the things I've seen in the 54 years, what have been the conditions, what's going on now in regard to that, and how could this group of people, future leaders in this community, really embrace the whole issue of equity. And so I started out by talking about my years here, what the conditions were 54 years ago when I first arrived in Lacey, some of the challenges that me as a Black female faced. I got into the whole areas of racially restricted covenants, the question of why most Blacks in Thurston County live in the Lacey area and not other areas. And a lot of people's reaction was that they never heard that before. To know that there's still over 1,700 properties in Thurston County with racially restricted covenants attached to their property descriptions, even in 2025. That came as a big surprise to people. But talked about what equity, the pursuit of equity, what it is not. That pursuit of equity is a way of life, a way of being, a way of decision making, and a way to embrace humanity. It is not equality, and try to help them understand the difference between equality and equity. Equity is not an activity. Equity is not a side program of an organization or an institution or entity. And equity is a responsibility not just assigned to one or to a team or an organization, but it's everyone's responsibility. And I talked about, visibility and what that can do. And I shared with them as they were wrapping up the previous presentation, which had been on implicit bias, that a consultant group, as a matter of fact, Tevin told me to tell you all hello.
No.
He and his group were there. So we had a warm embrace there when we saw each other. But the importance of me sharing this list with you, and I made the observation in the comment, and I said, future leaders of Thurston County, with 47 people sitting in the room, and for this to be the 32nd class of this program. And I had been a part of the board of Leadership Thurston County when the 7th or 8th class years ago came into being. And so I shared the observation that as I walked into this room and had a minute to relax before you took your break and my section came up, I said it was very apparent to me that there was not one Black person in this class out of 47 people. I just laid it out there, I said, so we're talking about developing and training future leaders for this community. And as you look down this list, you see every aspect: higher ed, K-12 education, businesses, government, you name it. And not a Black person that I could visibly see. Now, I can't attest to that on biracial people that they're Black and something else, but visibly, I couldn't see another Black person in that room.
Why is that?
I didn't get into why is that. I just raised the question and just also said, so how serious are you as you embrace this Equity Day? And out of 47 people, not a Black person in this class. And And so my 20 minutes, went by real fast. And there was a question and answer period, and I talked about the evolution of equity, how we had come from affirmative action, how we had gone through equal opportunity, and now it was DEI and some other nomenclature would be coming along in the future, but the issues are still the same of inequitable opportunities, lack of access. And I shared a little bit about my own background, what brought me to the state of Washington in 1968 due to affirmative action by federal contractors that sent federal contractors to Black colleges and universities to recruit those of us who were in science and math and engineering and that kind of thing. And had it not been for that opportunity, I never would have set foot in the state of Washington. And so I got some some interesting questions in the Q&A, people wanted to debate affirmative action and what had that meant, and, so I had to, address the whole issue of reverse discrimination and this stuff that came up. So it was a full 25 minutes and it went well. And then Dr. Rodriguez coming at it from a medical provider kind of thing, and how he's from Guatemala, highly trained medical professional, and that professionalism is not recognized in America. He's never been able to practice his craft simply because he's an immigrant, speak a different language with an accent, but it has nothing to do with the quality of his medical whatever. So it was very graphic and, easily understandable. And for him to say millions of people are like me, highly trained, highly professional, but we are denied opportunities because of our race, our color, our language, or whatever. So we shared the Q&A, both of us, after he finished his presentation. And then it was time to break for lunch. And then people just wanted to crowd on you at the tables that you were trying to eat with, So I thought it was very interesting that they have set aside equity as the topic of that entire day. And then Shannon and Cliff came in the afternoon, and they talked about, and she touched upon it a little bit, they had a particular topic that they were addressing. And I just said, you'll be meeting several of my colleagues from the Equity Commission later this afternoon. And I had my book, and I, proudly held up this strategic plan and this kind of thing. I said, and particular questions about that, my colleagues can answer for you when they join you this afternoon, other than me trying to take any of my valuable 25 minutes to go into that. So I don't know where it went from there. I don't know how their day concluded. I don't know, let's see. How are we moving forward? That was what you all did, Shannon. And then, oh, no one here. Is this, and this first, please? Pardon me? Was this the team or the thing that you went to, or the name of the group, the lead?
So I'll send out the link to everyone, but yes, it's
And so they
leadership
ended,
Thurston
they
County.
debriefed the day about what were you surprised by? What were you puzzled by? What was useful? What was interesting? What will you share with your family, friends, colleagues? And then they close. The next month's topic is government, where they'll bring in a lot of government leaders. But the entire day was set aside for the issue of equity. And so I was pleased to have been invited. And hopefully it says something that'll make a difference in somebody's thinking going forward. But I just looked at this. If you just run your eyes down the list, this is everybody.
Looking at how much it costs.
This is everybody. And
pretty
these
pricey.
are the, employees coming from these organizations that make up the class. And I just thought it was very interesting. But they did, when they come back, thank you for coming. And yes, we know we've got to do a better job. That's all that was said. And
Cause I'm taking a look at it, and there's a tuition
Pardon me?
There's a tuition, the
Oh, it's
program?
big tuition, something
Huge
like
tuition.
$2,500 for the year.
Yeah, 2,800, I
Yeah.
believe, and oftentimes the employer will pay for the tuition, so we've sent folks from the city of Lacey and we cover the tuition as
Right.
part of.
Wow.
But if you've got, and I know that the city is filled, that's one of the things when I decided to go into business for myself was we are a small business city. I don't really see any small business that's entrepreneurial or solopreneur being able to do anything like this, not at that cost. Even when times were good, so they're missing out on a lot of perspective. There's not a lot of, and those people aren't in the rooms to be able to become the leaders that we would have for the future, so.
But
yeah.
it's up to them to think and talk about what must we do differently in
Yes.
our recruitment process for these classes if we truly want to make it more equitable and
Yes.
representative of our community and the
Yeah.
population of our community as we think about future leaders
Mhm.
in this community. So
And then, and besides just the demographic as far as race, how many young people were in there, in that room? Like,
well, I don't know how
you
you
know.
define young, but
Well, I mean, like, somebody that was like maybe in their 20s or 30s.
maybe some 30s. But
Yeah.
they were agency people and
Mm.
and groups, so they
Right.
were employees of all these things you see. No, there weren't college students or that kind of thing. That's another whole leadership development thing, and that's really not the purpose of leadership Thurston County.
Yeah.
But they can re-examine. This was like I said, the 32nd class,
Yeah.
32nd year that they've done this, and
Yeah, cause they definitely
and
been
it's a
gotta,
very good program.
definitely
Very
gotta
good curriculum.
re-examine that, cause they do have the young leaders. Thurston County, but this has no young in there, so I'm assuming they can take younger people, that's another in the room that's missing. Cause now you're talking about your future leaders, so.
So that was my involvement in leadership Thurston County. It was at South Puget Sound, and highly structured day. They come together once a month for a full day. That's part of their commitment when they're selected. And have that variety of topics. So it's a very good program, a very good curriculum, but not as inclusive. That was the point I was trying to make, as it needs to be as we're developing leaders for the future.
I'm glad you were there.
And they just meet up
Thank you.
once a month.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they have assignments and work that they're doing interim from one meeting to another, because about 3 of them approached me, and one of their assignments is to interview someone in the community. And so I've got 3 interviews coming up.
Okay.
So typically the group will meet, I think, twice a month early on at the very beginning to get it started, and then I believe also at the very end, but yes, the rest of them are once per month. And I'll send out the website to everybody, but just also recognize that the next application cycle will open in March of 2026. And so one of the things that this body could do under kind of that advocate voice is make sure to spread the news that they're looking for applicants for the next cycle.
Under Commissioner report, could I say something?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to just let people know that November 7th, at the Supreme Court, they're going to decide whether they're gonna take the anti-gay marriage case brought forward by a woman who refused to, she was a public employee, refused to sign marriage certificates for gay people even when it was legal. And so she's taking it to the Supreme Court. So that is a very important decision that they will have to even look at it, not look at it. So just
decision just to look at
think
it,
of all
not
those
to make
people
a
that
decision.
it may affect. They,
Will there
Take
be
it.
some sort of a ruling?
no, they're just deciding whether they'll take this case
Oh,
or not,
okay,
and then they will hear it and then.
Okay, that's November 7th.
One other thing I'd like to mention, aside from the leadership forum, as far as a commissioner report, there was a community candidate meet and greet on the 18th at New Life Baptist Church, where all of the candidates on the November ballot for the 3 city councils, the 3 school boards, and the Port Commission were invited, and 24 candidates showed up, and about 35 people from the community in all, and it was in collaboration with the League of Women Voters and the NAACP. And it was a meet and greet where you can question directly. They had tables to distribute their stuff. So it wasn't the usual question kind of forms that happen. And so it went very well last year, and the candidates really surprised us with their positive response this year, almost to the point we didn't have space to accommodate everybody. But it did take place and was highly successful, and it was a community effort to meet and greet. The candidate meet the people get to meet the candidate and can have a direct one-on-one conversation. So I just want to report that successful adventure took place.
Right. Anything else from anyone? Okay, then we can move on to director's report. So you got few.
I have a few, but they're all just really quick updates for the good of the order here. So first one is Commission on Equity reappointment update. Chair Sauer has indicated that she would like to continue on with Commission on Equity. So that means that we will actually be full for 2026 and beyond. And so we'll be taking all of the reappointments and appointments to the Commission on Equity, or to the City Council on December 16th. It's tentatively scheduled for that date. So on that date, we'd be reappointing Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Garza, Commissioner Hegwood, and Commissioner Vice Chair Sauer, or Chair Sauer, excuse me. So you can attend the meeting if you'd like to. It's not required, but I do appreciate you all volunteering again to do another term of service on the Commission on Equity.
Thanks for signing up again.
We got work to do, right?
Right.
We just let work.
Just a few things over here. Next update is on the Community and Cultural Grant Program. So I just want to let this body know, you all had made a recommendation to move forward with the grant program. The council did pass that we would move forward with a pilot program in 2026. And so what's currently in the proposed budget is $2,500 for the program. 25,000, excuse me, that wouldn't have been a lot. $25,000 for the program. And so we will be looking at setting that up and having an application process, and it'll come back before this board for funding requests.
Do you know when the applications would go out?
I don't currently, but I'd like to get this started sooner rather than later in anticipation of having some events for 2026. So hopefully we'll be able to get it out in Q1 of 2026.
Would we be able to take a look at the application ahead of time or the questions?
Absolutely. I think we would have that opportunity, but it'd have to be likely the December meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
No
If not
criteria.
January. Sorry, say it again.
Do criteria and explanation.
Yeah, and I'll just, emphasize that the criteria too was determined by the policy that you all made a recommendation to, and the council did not make any changes to your recommended policy. So we won't deviate from kind of the requested information as outlined in the policy.
Okay.
The next update I have is utility wraps. So I know this has been a project from a bit ago where we had asked youth participants to provide artwork for utility wraps representing community members or events here in Lacey of significance or even groups. I'm happy to announce that the first one was actually installed and we're hoping the rest of them will be installed here shortly. And so what we're gonna be doing as we install them, we'll be notifying the families that they're up and then we'll be putting some information on our social media and websites. And then hopefully sometime, again, early Q1, we'll invite all of the artists to a city council meeting to be recognized for their artwork. And hopefully at that point, doing a call for additional artists to fill in the rest of our list that you all were instrumental in crafting for consideration.
Can you send us a map?
Absolutely, yeah, there's a website dedicated to that, and so I'll send you the website link that has it all.
We can have a little tour, see.
The next item I have is that the city council is going to be meeting with the North Thurston Public School Board, and I'll send out a link to this meeting. It's going to be on November 12th. North Thurston Public Schools will be hosting the event. So it'll be Tuesday at 6 p.m. at their offices. The current topics, and these are tentative, are going to be on student safety initiative, which is focused on activity night for 5th grade level. There's gonna be a discussion on the Metropolitan Park District and next steps. An update from North Thurston Public Schools on their construction update. An update on the Mullen Road property purchase. So this is the purchase for senior affordable housing that's being worked on. And then finally, there will be a discussion on how we can involve our 2 youth councils together in a meeting or potentially the diversity equity, or not the youth summit, excuse me, how we can partner those 2 groups to keep the efforts moving forward. So those are the items that I have seen are identified on the agenda.
Would you say something repeat what you said about the youth council engagement?
Yeah, so there'll be a discussion about our youth council meeting with their youth council. They have a council advisory board to the superintendent. And so seeing if there's some way we can get these 2 groups together to have a discussion or conversation. And what that could look like, is it, maybe jointly working on the summits, or is it a, one-off discussion on a couple of topics? So there'll be more discussion at the school board and city council of what kind of things they may be looking for as part of that discussion in the future.
Okay.
All right, the next item I have is November and December meetings. So I know we are getting into a stretch of time where there are a lot of holidays that are observed. And so I do just want to point out that we have meetings scheduled currently for both November and December. The meeting is on November 24th. That is also the week of Thanksgiving. So just recognizing that I know a lot of people travel on that week. And so I want to just make sure that we are going to have a quorum. So if you plan on not being available for that date, if you could please let me know as early as possible so we can.
Can't be there.
So we've got 2.
Can't be there?
No, I cannot.
Be
John,
in class.
did you hear?
On the 24th.
I'm here.
Yeah, I'll be here.
We got 3. I'll check in with Commissioner Brown.
I'll be there, or I can be remote. I'll be on the road, but I could be remote.
Great, so it sounds like we'll have a quorum for that meeting. And then the next meeting would be on December 22nd, which is also the week of Christmas as well. And so just want to get a understanding if we're gonna have quorum for that week.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
Okay, well, it sounds like that won't be an issue and we'll have quorums both of those days. Chair, it sounds like you'll be out for the next 2
Yeah,
meetings.
would you be able to facilitate the meeting, November meeting? November, because I won't be here,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Is it just November or is it?
Just November.
Just November, great. And I've got 2 additional items, just for awareness. Number 1, I know this is a concept that came up a couple of years ago of having stickers being made that can be put on like water bottles. And so just want to let everybody know that we, yep, there we go. Great example. We are in about to order some stickers that basically say everybody belongs at the City of Lacey and has our logo. And so we'll be able to bring those to the commission for you all to have a couple of those stickers here, so. And then my last item I have is inspirational item for November. Is there anybody who would like to volunteer?
Been around a year now.
Take it
All right,
Great,
okay.
Let me have to log on just to see it.
Chair, that is the end of my report.
That was great. So the sticker idea is great and I think it'll be really nice for us to have something like that too.
A water bottle? Is that what I'm hearing?
For the commission.
I heard ya.
All right. Okay, so John, do you have anything you'd like to, before we adjourn? Could you be?
Nope, I'm good. Sorry. Trying to find my mute button.
Okay. Great, if there is no other business, I adjourn the Commission on Equity meeting on 8:05 p.m.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.